I mean, once you enjoy the Dr. Manhattan lifestyle, once you become a god, seems very, very unlikely you're going to want to go back to being stupid again. I mean, you literally could fundamentally change the way human beings interface with each other.
Yes.
Yes.
You wouldn't need to talk.
I'm so scared of that, but so excited about it at the same time. Is that weird?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the paths to, like think like what are like AI is getting better and better. So now let's assume it's sort of like a benign AI scenario. Even in a benign scenario, we're kind of left behind. We're not along for the ride. We're just too dumb.
Right.
So how do you go along for the ride? Yeah, it's like if you can't beat them, join them. So, and we're already a cyborg to some degree, right? Because you've got your phone, you've got your laptop,
glasses.
You got your
Sure.
electronic devices.
Yeah.
I mean, today, if your phone, if you don't bring your phone along, it's like you have missing limb syndrome. It's like feels like something's really missing. So we're already partly partly a cyborg or an AI symbiote, essentially. It's just that the data rate to the electronics is slow. So especially output, like you're just going with your thumbs. I don't know, like what's your data rate? Maybe optimistically 100 bits per second. That's being generous. And now the computer can communicate at like 100 terabits. Basically your computer could do things a million times faster. So if you can solve the data rate issue and especially output but input too, then you can improve the symbiosis that is already occurring between man and machine.
So you can improve it in when you said you won't have to talk to each other anymore. We used to joke around about that. I've joked around about that a million times on this podcast, that one day in the future there's going to come a time where you can read each other's minds.
Yeah.
And
well,
you'll be able to interface with each other in some sort of a non-verbal, non-physical way where you will transfer data back and forth to each other without having to actually use your mouth and make noises.
Exactly. So when you, like what happens when let's say you've got some complex idea that you're trying to convey to somebody else, and how do you do that? Well, your brain spends a lot of effort compressing a complex concept into words, and there's a lot of loss, information loss that occurs when compressing a complex concept into words. And then you say those words are then interpreted, then they're decompressed by the person who is listening, and they will at best get a very incomplete understanding of what you're trying to convey. It's very difficult to convey a complex concept with precision because you've got compression, decompression. You may not even have heard all the words correctly, and so communication is difficult. What we have here is a failure to communicate. I think you would, in principle, be able to communicate very quickly and with far more precision ideas. And language would, I'm not sure what would happen to language. But you could probably, in a situation like this, you would be able to just, it would be kind of like the Matrix. You want to speak a different language, no problem.
Right. How many years before you don't have to talk?
If the development continues to accelerate, then maybe like 5 years, 5 to 10 years.
That's quick. That's really quick.
That's the best case scenario.
No talking anymore in 5 years.
Best case scenario. But 10 years more like it. You could also save state. And
save state?
Save state, like save your brain state, like a saved game in a video game.
Whoa. like if you want to swap from Windows 95
well,
to
hopefully a little better. But yeah, I mean, you could save state and restore that state into a biological being if you wanted to in the future. In principle, there's like nothing like from a physics standpoint that prevents this. Now you'd be a little different, but then you're also a little different when you wake up in the morning from yesterday, and you're a little different. In fact, if you say like you 5 years ago versus you today, it's quite a big difference.
Yes.
So you'd be substantially you. I mean, you'd certainly think you're you.
But the idea of saving yourself and then transforming that into some sort of a biological state, like you could hang out with 30-year-old you.
I mean, the possibilities are endless.
That's so weird.
I mean, just think like how your phone you can record videos on your phone. Like, there's no way you could remember a video
Right.
as accurately as your phone or a camera, could. So, if you've got like some version 10 Neuralink, whatever, far in the future, you could recall everything, just like it's a movie.
Crystal clear.
Including the entire sensory experience.
Emotions, everything,
and play it back. And
Do you think you'll be able to share?
You can edit it.
Edit it.
Yeah.
So you can change your past?
You could change what you think was your past, yeah.
Well, so if you had like
This
a traumatic
whole thing
experience,
right now could be a replayed memory.
it could be.
Yeah.
It may be. The idea that we're experiencing some sort of a preserved memory is, even though it's still the same, it's not comforting, right? For some reason, when people talk about simulation theory, they talk about the potential for this currently being a simulation. Even though your life might be wonderful, you might be in love, you might love your career, you might have great friends, but it's not comforting to know that this experience somehow or another doesn't exist in a material form that you can knock on.
Feels real, doesn't it?
Feels real, but if it's not, but the idea that it's not is for some strange reason disconcerting.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it should be disconcerting, because then if this is not real, what is?
Right.
But there's that old sort of thought experiment of like, how do you know you're not a brain in a vat? Right now, here's the thing: you are a brain in a vat. Then that vat is your skull.
Yes.
And everything you see, feel, hear, everything, all your senses are electrical signals. Everything.
You see it coming, but what do you think it's going to be?
Well, assuming civilization is still around, it's looking fragile right now. I think we could have in 25 years, probably something. I would think there could be a whole brain interface. Yeah, so that it would just be that more of you would be in the cloud, I guess, than in your body. More of you.